So there I got this incredible material from Malifine. She is the one of the best casting director I've ever had. Such a human lady. She did such a good work on preparing. So basically, what she asked of me is to prepare an improv with a beginning, a middle, and an end. And she said the director wants to feel that you are climbing emotionally, but you don't break down with your tears. But he wants to see you on the verge of having tears and being emotional. And here's the history of your character, blah, blah, blah. So I went to a vintage store and I found a cute little dress, that would make me look periody, from, my shoulders to my waist down. And I started to think about a story.
Welcome to Season 3 of Titanic Talk. Nelson Aspen and Alexandra Boyd launch once again onto the digital airwaves with some very special event episodes. Here we feature stories from the independent documentary Ship of Dreams Titanic Movie Diaries and continue to explore all aspects of the iconic ship. From James Cameron's epic, groundbreaking movie to the history and legacy of Titanic herself. Actors, historians, authors, descendants and fans come here to talk about Titanic. This is your first-class ticket to everything aboard the Ship of Dreams. Ship of Dreams Titanic Movie Diaries is distributed in the US by Freestyle Digital Media. It's now available to rent or own on Apple TV, Amazon, and many other platforms. Please be sure to like and leave a review.
I'm Nelson Aspen, and it's time for another podcast of Titanic Talk, where we talk about all things Titanic. And my lovely co-host, Alexandra Boyd, the filmmaker behind Ship of Dreams, Titanic Movie Diaries, has brought us a very special guest today who was a co-star with her on James Cameron's Titanic film from the 90s, the classic that has spawned so much love and extended family. Alexandra, will you grace us with her presence?
I will, Nelson. And first of all, I would like to say bonjour. Ça va, Nelson? Because if they haven't guessed it already, our listeners will be very familiar with Madame Aubert, aka Fannie Brett. Oh, look at there she is. Hasn't changed one bit.
Oh, you're very lovely to say that.
Ça va?
Ça va très bien. Merci, Alexandra. Thank you so much, Nelson, for welcoming me. It's always a pleasure to share those adventures, that we went through at that time. It was a long time ago, but, the success of Titanic, makes me feel like it was not that long ago, actually, because the fans, especially, they are so adorable and it's like a religion to them. You're a little bit of a demigod, when you talk to them. So it's only good energy.
Talk a little bit about how you got the job, because I think
Yes.
it's your first job in Los Angeles, right?
This is a great story, actually. So I was 25 years old, and my first year. I spent my first year in LA. I was a baby. I was doing a lot of acting classes to be able to, to drop my accent and get confidence on stage in American, And I was looking for a manager at that time, and then she said, okay, I really like you, but we're going to find an agent. So I went to Irv Schechter Company, which is a medium agency in LA. I'm sure you guys are from LA.
I remember Irv Schechter, yeah.
Yes, you remember. And he said, look, your French accent is still very strong. I don't think I'm going to take you on. He's like, but you know what? I'm going to test your acting ability because I'm going to submit you for this. This is a big project. There was a code name at that time. And he said, the director wants a real French speaking person who can also speak American. So there I got this incredible material from Malifine. She is one of the best casting director I've ever had. such a human lady. She did such a good work on preparing. So basically, what she asked of me is to prepare an improv with a beginning, a middle, and an end. And she said the director wants to feel that you are climbing emotionally, but you don't break down with your tears. But he wants to see you on the verge of having tears and being emotional. And here's the history of your character, blah, blah, blah. So I went to a vintage store and I found a cute little dress, that would make me look periody, from, my shoulders to my waist down. And I started to think about a story. And at that time, I was dating an actor. And she said, you can bring a scene partner. So I used my boyfriend / actor. I said, you're not going to talk during the scene. I'm going to be doing the talking. And basically, I was not going to tell him what I was going to do because I wanted a real reaction from him. So here we are showing up at the meeting. Mally Finn is again the most human lady. How are you, Fanny? Do you need anything? And guys, at that time, she had a cameraman in the room, right? So you feel very special. And I talked to her a little bit, and I was a little nervous, but she really made me feel at home. And then she said, okay, sweetheart, are you ready? We're going to film you. So I got into character, and basically my character was like it's hard to swallow, emotional, because I decided that I knew that my man at that time in my story cheated on me, and that I knew about it, but I wanted to keep my composure, right? So I was like, je sais ce que tu as fait, tu m'as trompé. I know what you did. I know you cheated. Mais j'en ai rien à foutre. I can't do without you. And so I was doing French English, because she made a very strong point on telling me, if you speak French, which we want, you need to say the same thing in American so we get it. So I was doing that exercise, and I was building up the emotion. The cameraman was like right on my face by the end of the audition. And I have to convey to you, there was something special in the energy in the room that day, And guys, it was my first American audition. So she hugged me.
She must have been charmed. I mean, we're charmed listening to this. She must have been thoroughly charmed.
You guys are so adorable. And so I got off my character, and she's like, sweetheart, she's like, I'm going to show it to James. Okay. This is, I knew by that time it was for Titanic. She's like, James wants to look at all the auditions for the characters. I was not a main character, but I was a second character. And I'm like, okay. So here I am going back to my acting classes, and I'm my waiting table job, as in the 90s, that's what we're doing, we're waiting tables and going to acting class, auditioning, and we had an easy life and everything was affordable, right? I was having fun.
Because I'm so nostalgic just listening to you. Please keep going.
Remember that time where, and again, I was a foreigner, I was adapting to everything, but I felt free. I was very creative, had incredible teachers. My waiting table job was paying for my bills, my rent, everything, and I could buy myself some nice clothes, My rent was $650, I think, at that time. I had a beautiful one bedroom Beverly Boulevard, right? So those were the time, guys. You guys know.
El Coyote, Beverly Boulevard, El Coyote.
Voila, exactly. Those margaritas were too strong. Those margaritas were so strong, guys. Remember?
I could get to halfway through the second one, and then I had to be put back of the
House
car.
margarita, scratch on the rocks, no salt. Anyway, so
yes, exactly, no salt. I just like you, Alexandra. By the second one, I was like, I'm not driving.
No.
This was so, and you remember they were asking, like, you want the regular one or you want the strong one? The regular one was already kicking my butt.
That was before Uber too. We were really taking our chances. That was before Uber.
We had to drive ourselves home. Yeah. Anyway,
Fanny, when did you get the call? How did it happen?
So a month and a half later, my manager calls me. She's hysterical. She was like, you got it. I'm like, what are you talking about? She's like, James wants you. I'm like, okay, so I go to Rosarito 2 weeks later to have my extensions done, and I meet the people. I also go into those amazing like tents, like looking like very high warehouses with like levels of clothing that they had from the UK. This is the most impressive thing I've ever seen in my life, because you can feel the energy of old and real clothing, right? So here I was, they were like the clothing ladies, they were checking me out. What are we gonna do with her? How is the character? And she was like, okay, come. And we're walking. And then we would just look 1 floor, 2 floor in the air, just like that. And she was like, okay, we're gonna pick that dress over there. So they would go with a big like stick, go and pick up that dress. So we picked up a few things. I tried like about 5 or 10 outfits, and then we retained 2 or 3, I remember. Corsets, I had to try everything. I took a class also on knowing how to use all the silverwares. There were so many silverwares, so we had to learn how to eat caviar, because my character was on the dinner table scene, when Leo shows up, all well dressed and all that.
Lynn Hockney was the etiquette coach, remember?
Yes, very lovely lady. She was actually also the photographer, right?
No, she was a choreographer. She'd been a ballerina, and she choreographed the third class dance sequences. But she was I had a little purse, and it kept slipping off my lap on my beautiful oyster silk skirt, and I had to keep picking it up off the floor. I said, "Can I?" I said, "I know it's a stupid question. I can't possibly put it on the table." Oh, no, can't put it on the table. All those little things that are all
those little things
with the mists of time.
Yes, you have to be very mindful. There was a whole protocol. It shows also your class, the kind of class you were coming from, the way you were acting and eating.
Speak a little bit about your character, because she was the mistress of Guggenheim.
Yes, so she was the mistress.
There was a bit of sort of sauciness in there as well.
Yeah, because actually the real story, my dear, I don't know if you recall that, but Madame Aubert was, a lady who lived in Montmartre in Paris, very creative, very artsy fartsy place. Women were going out dancing, singing, and would go a little over. It was not called prostitution at that time, but they were kind of like, she was kind of like the escort girl of the time, not sleeping with everybody, but because she was pretty and she was educated, she would go out with men. That's how she made Guggenheim. She was referred to Guggenheim. And what happened is that when the ship sank, Madame Guggenheim was waiting, she was waiting, at the port in the UK, because they were going to report who died. And when they reported to her, they said, oh, Guggenheim died, but his wife survived. And she went, I'm the wife. And that's when she found out that he was cheating on her, because he was traveling with Madame Aubert. He was not traveling with his wife.
Did he really? That's how she wasn't going to get caught sinking, or no?
Especially he was so rich and famous at that time,
But he was dressed in his best and went down like a gentleman.
Yes, he was. So for the story, so basically, fast forward, I get the gig, I show up, 10 days of the scene. James Cameron is absolutely adorable to me. And it's like, look, you did incredible testing for me. Thank you so much. I was such a kid. I was terrified. I was very shy, and he said, look, you're going to do the dinner table scene, but the reason why I cast you, it's because I want you to lose it emotionally. I saw on camera that you can reach the emotions. Now we're going to go all the way. When you come back, you'll be on the lifeboat and you'll see Guggenheim, jump out of the boat, and you'll have a fit, right? Well, guess what? We shot the first 10 days. It went very well, but my character there looks more like an extra. I had just one line. It didn't stay at the editing, which is okay, but you don't know really that my character is cast as a character. I was not an extra. Then I go back to LA after shooting this, 10 days, overtime, turnaround time, like very, very long hours, very challenging, but I learned a lot. I saw how James was working. I really admire his communications. A lot of people criticize him. Well, after the third time he repeats something, then he screams, but he has 3 times before. So regarding the amount of
guess what, I had to ask 3 times now on my own sets. Hello, this is the 3rd time of asking, or should I just tell you? But I've only had 1 meltdown so far.
So, but basically what happened is that I went back to LA. It went really well. And then I get a call. My boyfriend comes to pick me up at my waiting table gig at 11 at night. He's like, Titanic call. They're going to pick you up tomorrow at noon. Get ready, be in front of your house. They're going to send a limo and then take you to the airport, blah, blah, blah. I wait the next day at noon in front of my house, 12:15, 12:30, nobody's there. I have a bad feeling. 12:45, I go back to my house. I call Titanic. God bless me for having kept a very good relationship with one of the second ADs there. She was lovely. I call production. I'm like, guys, I'm waiting for a car. And they're like, oh, hang on. I wait 45 minutes on the phone. So at that time, my heart is beating. I have a bad feeling. And then finally, the producer comes back. She's like, sweetie, I'm so sorry. We had meetings all night long because we're cutting budgets. I don't have any details with a car picking you up today. Hang on. So I spend more time waiting on the phone. But I tell her, I said, look, get in touch with this second assistant. I have a great relationship with her. She knows me, da, da, da. This girl comes on the phone. She's like, I am so sorry. I was part of the meeting last night. We have to cut budgets. Because actually on the first few months of production, they were shooting in the water tanks. So James went over budget. Basically during this whole shooting in the water tanks, the whole budget of the film went. So James had to go back to 20th Century Fox and ask for more money to keep going. So what happened is that during that night, during that meeting they decided that my character was cut because they were going to change the plot. Guggenheim was not going to die, falling off the boat anymore. So they didn't need my reaction anymore. They made him die on the big seat, remember, with his glass of whiskey. And I wasn't there because I'm cost, for the plot, it was not necessary. So the sad story is that I can't tell you today, look, I was the one freaking out in the boat and losing it emotionally, My luck was I stayed in the film. I'm still getting residuals and, my name is in the credits, which is the most important. So that's basically a little story that happened to me.
Oh, it's all these stories, they're all connected by this film or the ship, and they're fantastic. We really did have an extraordinary experience. And I know we're so lucky to be actors, standing in front of camera, and the minute they say action and the clapperboard claps, it's just a very magical thing. But that particular job, everything I identify with, I went back because I had a commercial that I had booked, and I did a commercial, yes. And this was for actually boarding the ship. And they were like, well, we found one of the core extras. We've given her a red wig because my hair was red at the time, and dressed her sort of in your coat. And I met her, and actually she's Ellen Moa O'Brien, who is in my film, Full Circle. And I was like, no, Ellen, thank you very much, but I'm going to be back to get on that bloody ship. So it was always touch and go. Everybody has these. Yes. And then the limo came, and I left my own birthday party, and I sat around all night and still never went to the set. I mean, that was the size.
Yes, that was very hectic. Do you remember, Alexandra? I don't know about you, but when I showed up the first time, I was such a baby, and they look at you, they're like, "Hi, welcome to Titanic." We're all so tired, overworked. Everybody was Spanish. Well, when you create magic, I mean, there's going to be, some difficulties.
And all of the girls in the makeup department were British because they had come with Tina Earnshaw.
I loved her. She was great.
She was like that, the art teacher. She would go around the chairs inspecting our faces like it was in an art class. Of course it was. But she had come because Kate had wanted to work with her. So all these English girls thought they were going to be in Mexico. They thought they were going to Mexico to, have this wonderful sort of half holiday. Boy, were they so wrong. Just
yes, no, it was not a holiday. You're
No.
right. No, and I mean, my story has, a little bit of a bittersweet, feeling because I really never got a chance to shot what I was cast for. But some people spend 6 months of their life in Rosarito waiting on their hotel room, or when they were on set, they were there. They can't even see a piece of their hand in the film.
Peter White, you're talking specifically about lovely Peter White, who he was wet weather cover. Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. And this is like so hard because, I worked on Titanic, and later people go, yeah, right. We can't see you in that. It's like, well, I did, it's, so at least that's the luck we had, Alexandra, is that we still see ourselves and our names are in the credit, and
I suppose you could say this of any Hollywood production, but for our purposes, when we think of your version of Titanic, that the James Cameron version of Titanic, it really is a microcosm of the entire film industry in one movie. We hear these stories about the casting process, the cutting room floor, the waiting, the very far from glamorous aspects of it, in what seems like it should be the most glamorous thing in the world. But at the end of the day, as Alexandra and I have talked about so many times, you're a tradesman, you're a working person. An actor is a worker, and it's for the one red carpet you might get to do a year, there's the other 364 days where you're really slaving.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. This is why, acting careers is really not for everybody. I mean, if it was only about talent, it would be easy. It's really about the before and the after working that you have to have a strong mind as an actor.
And you've segued into another area to use your creativity. Tell us about post-Titanic life.
Thank you. So, I was in LA until 2002. I went back to France. And for a while, my father was sick, and then he died, and I needed to be there. And then I went back to LA in 2015 with my husband. And I was still an actor, but I was not getting, the work that I wanted to. I guess I'm not very good at pushing myself. I'm better at pushing others, to be honest with you. So I was telling Max, my husband, I said, look, I love acting. It will always be part of my life, but I want to try something different. And then turns out that I met somebody who knew about French dubbing, because I'm French too, and I know about dubbing too. And he needed a partner. We became partners, and we ended up creating the dubbing department for Netflix from 2018 until 2021. So that was, for me, actually the peak of my career so far, because my background is conservatory, ballerina, singer, dancer, acting, of course, a lot of acting stuff. So I was put in a situation where Netflix would throw me a series or films from any kind of countries. And with the technology we had, I became a video casting coordinator and co-director for the actors. And guys, this is like, to me, was the best time ever, because everything that I went through before in my life was serving this purpose. So when you tell an actor you got the part, this is so rewarding. And I created so much work in LA at that time. I created a new department. So I was finding my actors word of mouth from other actors. Okay, I need a girl with a voice like this. I need a guy with heavy chest. And I wanted the natural stuff. So I created a roster of dubbing talent. They were on-camera actors or only video actors. I taught them how to follow the ritmo band. It's like a karaoke for actors. I had like 6 ADRs going, 6 projects at a time. Then I needed assistance, It was just, my brain was meant for this. I was, in different spheres, and
you're the James Cameron of dubbing.
I mean, think so.
That's what you've become.
I think so, Nelson. So it was amazing until the pandemic. And then the pandemic hit. My partner started to act weird, because I said to him, I said, look, I want to keep the projects going. I don't want to stop. So let's create the way we're dubbing. Let's create it from home. And my husband is an amazing technician. So I said, honey, have the director from home, the actor at home, and the sound engineer from his home. 3.5 weeks of testing, we had it. And I had such a good relationship with my clients, one Netflix client. We were going through a studio called Runabout. Okay. They were not going directly to me because you need to be part of a big studio for NDAs and security issues and all that. So basically, when the pandemic started, 3.5 weeks, we came up with this remote workflow and we were saving projects. I wanted to keep my actors at work, but it did create some ego waves. Like the big studio didn't find the solution. My partner was like, yeah, we're going to go back in the studio in May. Why do you bother? I'm like, no. I don't think the pandemic is going to only last 2 months, you know? So I was right, but I was also burnout. So I created the remote workflow. I saved the situation for my actors. And then the studio at that time said, okay, you've been independent contracting for us for 30 months. We want to hire you as a producer because we're going to get rid of your partner. And I go, you know what? I have too much loyalty. And I'm really not corporate because they give you a lot of freedom when you show them a workflow because they take it from you, right? Which is, political. I completely understand it. But I saw also how people were treated in a corporate world. And again, with all due respect, they don't have a life. They work. They don't have vacations. And I saw especially many girls, 2 girls I was working with, and they were so tired. One of them got bone cancer at 34. The other one had a nervous breakdown. A lot of people are alcoholics because they can't take it anymore. The stress in studio is great.
It's lost all its creativity at that point, even if there was any at the beginning. Right?
Absolutely right. Yeah, you're absolutely right. So it's all about then after that, now that they understand the workflow, Netflix just want to do it, do. And I was already like honoring a lot of projects at once, but they wanted to go faster and higher. Why? To make more money. So I said, no, I cannot accept that offer. I stayed in very good relationship with Runabout Entertainment, the vice president, the owners. They love me. Because of course they made a lot of money on my back, so yeah, they like me and they're good people. But I decided to go in an adventure on doing my own remote dubbing company because we created that remote workflow. So that's why also we could leave LA, because after the pandemic I was not feeling staying there anymore, and boy was I right.
Well, you are one of 3 former Angelenos in this conversation right now. So we all understand
everything. I mean, I just made a feature film from a forest in the Pacific Northwest on the Olympic Peninsula. I did travel to LA to do interviews in person. I did travel to New York and London, and everything else was Zoom meetings. And my editor and post-production supervisor is in Devon in the UK, and he stays up late at night, and we would edit and I'd do notes on the Zoom. He'd send me a Vimeo file. And the pandemic has changed. We don't really talk very often about how positively the pandemic and the ways we got around the restrictions, and how actually, the mother of invention gave you a career, which you don't have to be in Los Angeles, nor do I. And Nelson's in New York. That's pretty full on. But look, we've not done one in-person Titanic talk.
But I never leave my apartment. There are days I never leave my building.
How do you feel, guys, about that? I mean, is it getting to you? I think it's starting to get to me a little bit, to do everything from home. I'm very grateful. I kept going, I kept surviving, and with my husband, and
Well, have I got a Titanic convention for you?
Oh, you do?
That's one of the nice things about now you can pick and choose where you're going to go, what you're going to do, and if you can skew it around work, because you can always, if you have a phone with you, you can still keep up with your work. Now, we don't want to stalk you and tell us if it's none of our business, but can you tell our viewers, now that you've left Los Angeles, where in the world have you ended up? Are you in a place where you've found your bliss?
I can absolutely tell you, my dear Nelson, I am South Las Vegas, close to the Red Rocks Mountains. I am not a party casino woman, but I thought that Vegas was good because it's only 30 minutes from LA. I go back there sometimes to dub direct high-end dubs, So it's 30 minutes flight, or I can just drive there. It's 4 hours. But what I love is the silence of the desert, those huge mountains. I do feel protected, so we go on hikes a lot. We have to see more shows. I only saw the last show I saw was it was amazing. Oh my God. The technology behind it.
I think it's called because you spend the whole time with your mouth in
Or maybe you just have the big O.
That's so true. I mean, I think we have to see it a few times to just get everything. So much is going on stage. I don't know how they do this whole thing underwater. Just mind-boggling.
That's a free plug for the Bellagio, isn't it? In the Bellagio.
Yeah, it's I'm very impressed by some of the level of the productions here. Then again, I have to tell you, I'm very much at home. I work a lot from home, so I'm starting to itch with working a little more back in my own language, because I'm French American. I have dual citizenship. So
how do you think that might manifest itself? How could you?
What I've been doing, Alexandra, but you probably know the feeling also because you're from the UK, but I've been redoing my resumes, the French way. I'm starting a new website only for me, because I have 7 Holdings Media, which I did send you guys if you want to share it.
Yes, we'll put that in the notes for people.
Thank you so much.
For budding voice actors, I know that you do coaching and
so what I offer, and we're the only one in the world. I'm mixing. I'm going all over the place here. Sorry. You stimulate me. It's your fault. So basically, if you have a setup at home, an interface, headphones, the mic and everything, we send you 2 links. You don't have to own any software, and a video and an audio, and then bam, my voice comes in your headphones, your voice comes in my speaker, and then you see the karaoke for actors. I adapt a specific scene for your age range, and then bam, I teach you how to dub. And because I'm the one who had the most productions under my belt, I'm over 50 dubbing productions, series and features combined. You talking to the right person, I'll give you a very honest feedback. I don't sugarcoat. I tell you where you're at as a dubber, because it's hard enough to have a career in this world.
I've done that a couple of times, but it's more a loop group stuff where
it's not the same.
Yes,
it's not the same, because you're really gonna exist, Alexandra, full on
yes.
Your character is full on camera. I usually choose a dialogue scene with only 2 characters, and you have the ritmo band with your dialogue scene. I teach you exactly how to honor those dialogue scene, the ritmo band, and then by the hour by 15 minutes, you know how to dub. By the hour, you know where you stand. You get a chance to be in a roster. I have an amazing roster. And we give back. So because of course there's a cost. You hire 2 people, the sound engineer and the director, right? An adapter. But
it's an investment. It's your investment in your business.
Oh, yes. Definitely.
So you can dub me like one of your French girls.
What?
Basically, you can dub me like one of your French girls. You see where I'm going with all of this. Well, I think we need to get you on the road a little bit. Come meet us somewhere in one of our Titanic adventures, or just come to New York, or go to the Pacific Northwest and hang out with Alexandra and me. Rewatch Titanic to see what little memories it might spur out, especially now after our conversation. And we'll have all your details on the website so everybody can find you. And we're so happy that you joined us, but that you're living your best life, it sounds like.
I'm trying my best, my dear Nelson.
France? Would you like to? Because I went back to London for a little bit and then came back about 5 years.
I mean, it's very personal, but I can share with you. I mean, I have a very close aunt. She was my father's sister. My father died very young, and she just lost her husband. So my heart is, I feel for her. So I think that, and because I know a lot of people shooting right now in my hometown, they're shooting lots of series and stuff. So I think my goal is maybe, of course, I'm here. I can dub direct from there too, because of our technology. And my husband can be here still, to take care of our place in Vegas. But I think my heart goes to being with my aunt and still managing to work a little bit for the next couple of months. That's how I'm feeling. That you got the whole truth there.
You can be a citizen of the world. That's the nice thing in 2025. Through technology and I don't know, just the way the world has shrunk, we can be citizens of the world and still be as close as we are. Fannie, it's such a treat to meet you. I felt like I already knew you beforehand, but now I'm really fond of you. So you're not just another character from Titanic. You're a friend of the family. So thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Nelson. You have a beautiful smile. I wish you the best, my dear. Go ahead and do your reporting stuff. It's so important what's happening.
Yeah. À bientôt.
Thank you so much, guys. Thank you so much. Au revoir. Au revoir. Bye-bye.
If you've enjoyed this podcast, please leave a review. And if you'd like to hear more podcasts like this, hit the subscribe button. For information on where you can see Ship of Dreams, Titanic Movie Diaries, go to shipofdreamsfilm.com. Titanic Talk is a production of Ship of Dreams Film Limited. We've launched a line of Titanic Talk merch. A cap, a mug, a tote, a t-shirt or a hoodie. You'll be sure to find a unique gift for the Titaniac in your life. Look for the link in the notes and on Instagram, or go to bit.ly/Titanic Talk Shop.